This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. This may be a news flash for you, but I'm going to state what is really the obvious, but sometimes we don't want to hear it, that everything you do in life is work. I'm sorry to break that to you. Even planning for this weekend. Who are you going to get together with? How are you going to get there? Who's going to be driving? Where are you going to go? What time are you going to meet up? Blah, 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 blah. It's fun, but it's work. But when you do the work, there's a lot of benefits to it. Now take a look at your life. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you would like to achieve, haven't really gotten there yet. Have you done the work? Have you embraced the discomfort? That's what we're going to pick up from our talk last week with her. And she helps people make those realizations to embrace that discomfort, find their path to success, and change the way that you navigate life. Because there's another term, everything is work, but also sometimes you get stuck in a rut and we keep repeating the same patterns, but we don't move forward. She's going to coach us to that success. Gayathri Riddhi joins us on the program once again. I hope I'm saying that right. I try every single time.
Yes, you do, Steve. You gave it a valiant effort. So thank you for that. I'm Gayathri Riddhi, and thank you for having me again.
Wonderful to have you back here. I embrace the discomfort of attempting to say your name properly. And that's really what it's about. If we don't embrace that discomfort, do you believe that we're really not going to move our lives forward in the direction we really want to?
So moving our life forward is all up to us. And for some of us, we have to remember, Steve, we are quite fine staying where we are. But there is a moment where some of us, as we go through life, recognize there's something more to it. That is the moment that's asking of you, are you ready to move into discomfort? Because growth in itself is moving through discomfort to get to a space of, wait, now it's no longer discomfort anymore. You've reached the space of comfort. So it's a constant push to keep moving forward. And that's consistently staying in discomfort. So long story short, yes.
I'm glad you said it, because it's perfectly okay to be where you are if that feels right for you. But to your point, if something feels off, like life is okay, no complaints, grateful for everything that we have, and you should be. It's a whole other podcast about gratitude. But if you're feeling there's something else, like almost like a magnet pulling you in a certain direction, do you feel that is what's inside of you that's calling your authentic self, that you might want to look at some change here?
You spot on, Steve. And that's what I have seen in my years coaching and on my personal life and my journey in where I determine I want to help others grow and shift perspectives. That is a very pivotal moment, because there are times when our body and nervous system wants us to rest. So it's best for us to coast for a minute. But that coasting, if it keeps going for a certain amount of time and beyond, there is an internal call that comes in that says, I'm restless. I don't feel I am where I need to be. And this is the same on the other end of the spectrum is what we find as burnout, which is we keep going on autopilot, coasting, doing what we need to in the way we've always done it. And we reach a point of burnout. All these elements of restlessness and burnout on two ends of the spectrum is asking for a same thing, which is stop and recognize something has to shift. And if something has to shift, guess what? It is not going to be a comfortable path. You have to revisit how you look at the world, and are you truly being authentic? And are you leveraging what your mind, and we touched on this before, Steve, in our last conversation, which is our mind is a complex, multi-layered, multi-dimensional component within us. So it's asking us in so many different ways to make that change and truly embrace that discomfort.
I completely relate to what you're saying. And it was last fall where I got this weird virus. Like I never get sick. I've been sick half my life. I'm always running. I'm always going. it made me stop.
Mhm.
And I was in bed for like 4 days. I lost my voice. I got like acute laryngitis, couldn't talk, couldn't work. I feel it was the universe's way or my body's way of saying, bro, you need to stop. Take a moment. You're burning it on both ends there. You need to take some time. And then I started taking a little more time to just, relax, rest. But you said exactly what I was thinking and happened to me. I took the time and it was needed.
Mhm.
Then I got restless. And now I find myself when there's more downtime, and you got to find that balance, right? You got to find that chill time, but also there's a time to keep moving forward. Um, that's where I find myself. I was like, I can't just, can't, I don't watch TV. I can't, I got to keep moving, but it forced me to take that time, and it was needed. It was needed.
Yes.
Um, how do you change how you navigate life?
I want to start with the element of restlessness that you just spoke of. There's two different types of restlessness. One that comes out of your mind telling you you can shift and grow into something more. And the other one where your subconscious is so used to you running, running, running that you stopping is making it restless. So it's very important to recognize where is that voice of restlessness coming from. With that, yes, how do you navigate life? All of us have our own unique way of navigating life. There's no right, wrong, or indifferent way to navigate life. How you do it is perfectly okay. The goal that we can all have long term, that I personally have found to be mine, and I'm sure there are many who will resonate with this, is living life in a way that I am in a calm, centered, peaceful space, no matter how much chaos is around me. And what that is truly asking of us is be able to regulate ourselves, not expect the world to regulate for you, but regulating ourselves and how we respond to the world. So that is what I would recommend based on what I have learned so far.
Mm. Ooh, so much to talk about here. So let's rewind 5 years ago.
Yes.
Who was Gayatri?
5 years ago, I would say I was already evolving into who I am today 5 years ago, but there were some fine tuning of lessons that needed to happen. So I was at a place where I could see all the puzzle pieces of the mind, all the lessons that I was learning with the mind. I had not art bigger, I had not started articulating it in a way that became a holistic picture. And so that is where I would say I was 5 years ago, where
Mm.
still same student of the mind, still working on helping myself and others, very much self-reflective. I recognize the components of the mind. Again, from a scientific standpoint, from a physiological standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, and I was trying to bring the picture together. I would say I was in the journey of doing that about 5 years ago.
Hmm. So would you say that the plane was on the runway but didn't fully take off, or was just taking off? Now it's flying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
The plane was getting fueled up,
Okay.
and all the engine components were being double checked by the people who knew what they were doing to make sure it can truly get off the runway and stay a
I, and
flight.
and I love that. You want to make sure that everything is all together before you ascend.
Yes.
Um, I don't do New Year's resolutions. I started doing something different, and I
Tell me
pick a
about it.
word. I pick a word,
You pick
and
a word.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And this ties into, when we talk about restlessness. In the past, the words were resilient, or it could
Mhm.
be discovery. That was one, discovering a
Mhm.
lot in one year, a couple of years ago. My word this year, obviously made it in January, is execution. So like a bunch of different
Mhm.
things I want to achieve, and projects floating out there, but they seem to be taking longer to get done. Well, my plan, the word is execution. Move it, move it, move it. That said, for anybody that's got goals and they
Mhm.
just find that it's not getting done, And you don't even know why. You're moving it. Of course, sometimes you have to rely on other people, and that could slow things up. But you think that you should be further at this point in a project or in life.
Mhm,
When you have that realization,
mhm.
what do you do? What do you start looking at? How do you dissect it, figure it out?
Such a wonderful question, and it's very much the entire system of you asking you to truly slow down. So execution is very much accomplishing what you have targeted, you have planned for, right? And there's a timeline that we give ourselves, which sometimes, yes, can be determined by outside factors, but sometimes we place those timelines on ourselves. And so,
Hmm.
what in many cases of execution that I have seen missing is the element of recharge. So, our body is a machine at the end of the day. There's a certain level of rest and recharge that it needs for it to operate optimally. So, if you're fully focused on execution, where are the elements of recharge that you have integrated in between? Because for creativity and for self inspiration to be part of the equation, you need to have the recharge elements in there. And recharging typically happens when you slow down. So that is why our body appreciates rest, because you have allowed our system to slow down. And so our mind appreciates when you're focused on one thing, going for a walk in nature and looking at something far away. It immediately resets our mind and our nervous system, because the fractal pattern of the world in nature is very much the frequency and the vibration our brain needs to calm down.
I just had a realization I wasn't aware of that. I want to hear that again. So we all, for anybody that doesn't know, we all vibrate.
Yes.
We have a different vibration. That's what's going on. You vibrate at a different level. I do. You have a high vibration. I like to think I do, but we're always, it varies a little bit. You want to be at the highest vibration, low vibrations, negativity, et cetera, et cetera. Did I hear you say that nature is a high vibration and that's why we should seek it out? And maybe that's why people say, yeah, I'm going back into nature. I'm taking a walk. I'm getting grounded. When you're out in nature, in the trees, in a park, walking, whatever, you're saying that that's a high vibration?
If I may clarify that a little
Go
bit.
right
So I
ahead.
think the term,
I'm the student. You're
the,
the
the
teacher.
term vibration, term vibration today, I find it to be so much of a buzzword where it is being articulated to say you're high vibe, you're low vibe, without necessarily equating it to what the nature of it is. Positivity and what calms you down is not necessarily frequencing at a high level. As a matter of fact, you will note that tones that are lower, bass lower, will calm you down further. So the way you find the term used as a buzzword is almost counterintuitive. It's you're not necessarily frequencing high when you're in a mentally strong place. It's more of where are you? You're usually slower and centered when you're at peace, when you're at calm. Fractal pattern, which you find in nature, which is it's the randomness of the colors which still makes a holistic whole of nature, and the frequency of water, all of that has a certain level to it. And it's not necessarily high. It tends to be on the lower scale of tone in vibration. And that is what tells our brain and our heart and all of our system to slow down. It's okay. Everything is fine. Because the faster you go, there's like the body tends to operate with different levels of hormones that tell us something stressful is happening. Therefore, we need to ramp up. We want the opposite. We want to ramp down so we can have clarity.
Hmm. This goes against what I heard and believed all along because I've understood that. And by the way, we're talking about energy here. We didn't use that word yet, but that's
No,
essentially
we
what
can.
this is, right? Um, Love, I hear, is 528 hertz, which,
Oh yes, yes, there are yes.
which
I know what you
in the scheme of frequencies, if you want to do that in terms of sound, It's not like super
Mm-hmm.
crazy high, but it's higher than other frequencies. And love, as I
Mm-hmm.
understand it, is the highest possible vibration, i.e., frequency,
Mm-hmm.
that there is. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a good place, it's okay to be lower. Call it, 400 something hertz, whatever it might be, because if I'm understanding it right, that we're in a good spot. Not too high, not too low. That sound reasonable in terms of how you're explaining it? Am I interpreting it right?
Yes. So from a literal tone standpoint, our ears can hear different tones in different levels. From a the if you can visualize the movements of the vibration,
Sure.
that tends to be faster or slower, right? So the slower ones tend to slow us down and the faster ones ramp us up. So if we take that out of this frequency and if we go into music, when we are listening to fast rhythmic music, there's a different feel to it
Sure.
versus a slow melodic type of music, right?
Hmm.
So it's in the same tone where if you're hearing something that is slower, it tends to calm us down, unless you have trained your subconscious prefers speed. So that is why when somebody likes faster rhythmic music and you put them in a little booth with piano playing melodically, they are not able to appreciate the melody because they miss the fastness of the beat. The subconscious is telling them something's not right. This music is not good for us. It's too slow, right?
Interestingly, I found that going to the gym, a lot of times put on faster music, you want to get pumped up, right?
Mhm.
I'll put on slower, mellow songs and sometimes do even better,
Mhm.
sometimes feel even better. And
Mhm.
I've even shared that with friends. And I'm like, I don't know how it works. It works for
Mhm.
me. But like mellow could be more emotionally kind of sounding songs, but I'm still doing what I do, if not better, than if I would have cranked, a faster like 140 beat. Like, so
Mhm.
I get what you're saying. It just gets you in a zone. It gets you
It
in a
gets
good
you in a
zone.
zone. Yes, it
Mhm.
gets you in your zone and you're able to connect your mind to the muscle you're working with much better. And again, it works different for different people, and it
Sure.
depends on where you are with your mind at any point of time, right? So I
Mm,
firmly recognize at this point in my life that slow is an absolutely underrated um, advantage that we can all have.
I got you on that. Yeah, and I'm realizing it too. And prior to the getting sick in the fall, before that, friends would tell me that they're on a Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. I'm in bed. I'm just watching TV. I'm like, what are you doing? Like
Mhm.
you're wasting the whole day. Get out of bed. Do something. And then I realized that doing nothing is doing something. You're recharging your body, your mind, all of that. Exactly what you just said before. Took me a long time to figure that out. I only just did like in the last year or so. What does somebody do if they're having that call, that the call that says there's more out there, I deserve more,
Mhm.
but you don't know how to attain it, you don't know how to move it forward in that direction of change. When you
Mhm.
have that feeling, what do you suggest?
There's a couple of things that I would recommend. First is there's a lot of the answers about what you want to do in life within yourself. So start listening to what you are finding joy in. There's a lot of time, and again, coming back to slowness, we move to the point that we are not always recognizing the moments that have given us a sense of true joy, a sense of true purpose. And some of us recognize it, but put it to the side because all the other obligations in our life perhaps take priority.
Mm,
So, my recommendation before anything else is your answers are not going to come from someone else. It's going to come from within you. So start paying attention to you. And that does require you shutting off the world a little bit. So there is information coming at us telling us how to be, who to be, when to be, where to be, all of that. There are potentially people that we surround ourselves with that plays obligations or expectations on us. And depending on where we are with our mind growth, we are either leaning into it and flowing with whatever has been set for us, or we are trying to figure out among all of that, who is me? What is it that I want to do? So, with all of those elements, the key is to shut the world out and truly start listening to yourself. Because again, we're speaking of the mind being our cognition, which has our brain and all of the capacities that it has, our emotion, and the consciousness with all the layers of it. There's so much information that we are storing. So it is recognizing who we truly are, and not necessarily saying, okay, because all this happened, I deserve to be here. It's truly recognizing all of this happened, therefore I deserve to move forward. And what do I need to do to move forward? And so the steps you take will depend on that and will be very unique to every single person.
So I get downloads in music. I've been playing music on the radio literally since I was a kid professionally. Not even kidding, still do. You were talking about music before. Song popped in my head based on what you're talking about now. It was a hit in the 90s. The band was Roxette. Top 5 song. I think it was from the movie Pretty Woman. And the song is Listen to Your Heart.
Yes.
Listen to your heart. So as you're speaking now, I feel that we need to listen to our heart for the answer. And we're so busy. Devices, paying bills, kids, blah, 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 blah. Everything's like flying a million miles a moment in front of your face. We don't listen. And if would it be coming from our heart? Find that heart space. Listen.
It should come from your heart, your logic, your heart, and your intuition to be integrated. So I have heard, like you, I have heard, and again, it's their experience, what life has taught them. There's no right, wrong, or indifferent, right? So I've heard people say, always listen to your head, never anything else. Always listen to your heart, never anything else. Always listen to your intuition, never anything else, because according to their experiences, this is what's given them the right answer, right? My lessons have taught me every single one of those elements have a nugget in it. And it's not one size fits all. So you have to pay attention to all three and then discern what is the right thing for you to do. And that, again, requires you to know who you are truly, not what someone else told you you are, you recognizing and knowing who you truly are.
I don't want to agree with you just because we're here, but I 1,000,000,000% agree with you. I really, really do. And I forgot even to consider intuition. But yes, you need to process all three, your head, your heart, your intuition. We don't. And unless you know how to listen to yourself and you start appreciating yourself, i.e., maybe even loving yourself, it's important. It's almost as if those things, your intuition, your heart, your head, it's speaking in other language. It's like, you're not going to understand it unless you plug into yourself. How do you do that? It's part of the journey. Back to the beginning. It's work.
It is work. And the other element of it that we must remember is there's an element of judgment in all of this too, right? So there is an element of if you're listening to your heart, you're weak. If you're listening to your head, you're harsh. If you're listening to your intuition, you're one of those foo-foo people. Whatever it is, whatever it is, we have to recognize there's a reason they're part of us. And because it's part of us, let's not disrespect and judge it. Let's truly become curious about it and know what they're bringing to the table. And not always is one going to be the right answer. So know all three and then discern your answer for the moment you're in.
I pause so we process what you said because I think I know it. So important. So important. And there's been times where I've listened to my heart, but then get the full answer. Listen to the intuition. I'm getting some. But then I don't use the other two to process it and act accordingly. And we were given all of those as special gifts, superpowers, if you will, but we don't use them, especially the intuition. My gosh, we blow that out. Everybody, so many people leave that out. But that's, I believe our intuition is part of the reason why we're still here. It's there. It's telling you the answers. The cave people, 1,000 years ago, they would have walked out of the cave and there would have been a pterodactyl swooping down, and then, mankind gone. Something said something. Don't go outside.
Yeah.
But we need to listen to all of it and process all of it at the same time. I know this is a little deep for some, but it's the answer. You're giving us the answer.
It's the answer for some. And you and I know there are a lot of us who may not even comprehend what we are saying. And some are already ahead of what we are saying. And there are some who are maybe intrigued and some who will completely dismiss it as not something that does not make sense. So it's just, where are we in our journey, and what is it that we recognize with all the lessons that we have learned? And the lessons that I have learned tell me use all three, because every single part of it has a reason for existing.
Well, part of what you offer is helping us understand it, helping us listen through coaching and so much more. And you offer a free 30-minute virtual session. Do I have that right?
I do. I give a 30-minute complimentary session as a coach. And it's important because it's important for the person to get to know who I am and for me to get to know the person. And the way of my coaching differentiates is very much helping clearly look at self. How are we operating as self? Not necessarily to go back and resolve the traumas that got us here, is to recognize where we are today and how are we going to navigate the future, like from this moment on forward. So it's very much forward focused and building our mindset and our leadership, which is essentially how we live our life. It's not, I recognize very, very thoroughly that leadership is not necessarily for executives and corporate world, or even any area that you've been given the title of a leader. It's essentially how you navigate life. You lead your life. You're a leader inherently.
Yeah, we are leading our lives. How are you going to do that?
That's right.
Wonderful talking with you. What's your website?
It's www.realizetowin.com, and I am sure you will have it all written down on your site for anybody who didn't quite catch it.
For sure. And what you said, I think everything is very impactful, but the last minute of what you just said is the difference between therapy and coaching, where you don't go back to the past. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I believe we can recognize our past, but we don't dwell on it. We move forward. And that's a game changer within coaching, and especially leadership coaching.
Yes, and there is so much studies out there that tell us that coaching is the most impactful interaction you can have because of that. It's not denying or ignoring what's happened that's brought you here. It is truly recognizing it's all of that that makes you who you are today. So now from here on forward, how do you get to be your strongest, your most effective, your most authentic leader? How do you get there from here?
Thank you for today. Learned a lot. Still processing some of it, to be quite honest with you, in a good way. You have a way of going deep, but making it understandable. And I find it super cool. I really do. And some validation for things that, I thought in terms of, the frequency, the energy, and all of that. And truly looking forward next time we get together.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'm also looking forward to the same and enjoying this opportunity for sharing what I have learned.
Likewise.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.